us for another episode of Brandon Sanderfans with Ben and Sam. I'm Ben.
And I'm Sam.
Hey, thank you for coming. And as always, Brandon Sanderfans, the only podcast where every single week two best friends talk about the best author of our lives, Brandon Sanderson. Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little tired. I just got a promotion at work, and so I'm learning a bunch of new stuff.
We try to find time to record. You guys out there may not know this, but we do record these episodes ahead of time so that we make sure we have an episode every week. We actually just recorded a previous episode right before this, and we're recording this one right now. So kind of realizing a lot of podcasts have a lot of current events in their podcast to make it a little more exciting, a little more
the
moment. I feel like we don't really have that. We're talking about books that came out back in 2005 or whatever. So I wanted to add a little bit of current events and flavor into this. This episode should go out on March 23rd. So Sam, March 23rd is National Chip and Dip Day. I thought we could just talk about how National Chip Day is going for each of us, and what's going on over there in National Chip Day land.
Well, for me, we like to get real wild with Chip and Dip Day, and we have over 114 different dips.
Yeah. And 114, a lot of people don't know this, it's National Chip Day on the 23rd because that's actually the day where they invented 7-layer dip. And, it took 114 ethnicities to make that 7-layer dip. There's a lot. I'm not saying that there are 114 chefs in the room, but rather the one chef that made a 7-layer dip had 114 different ethnicities. We checked. We did genetic testing. Wow. I just did it this morning on myself. How many ethnicities are in me?
How many?
One. White.
Just one?
Just the one. I was born in a test tube, though. And so...
So
Senor Chip Dip, which was his name, had 114 ethnicities. Very beautiful man, too. Probably the most beautiful man I've ever seen in my life. It makes me cry every single time I look at him.
Roman god beauty. Roman god beauty. Handsome.
And I remember, do you remember where you were when you first presented that 7-layer dip, that sweet, sweet dip?
I don't, because I was 2. But there's photographic evidence that I actually rolled in a vat of guacamole in excitement.
I like to think that you were on a counter and you rolled off into the sink where some guacamole was chilling and you just rolled around in it. You're loving it. It's I love these green mashed potatoes. They're great.
Oh man, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. So where were you when Senor Chip Dip presented this invention of life-changing dips?
Well, Sam, you are younger than me, so I had not been born yet, actually, because I've been lying about my age. Again, born in a test tube. I was actually in a previous life. I was a chip dip dish, and I was actually the dish that held the 7-layer. You wouldn't believe it. I was very cold. I was a little exposed. I felt a little naked to the world because I was used to being in a cupboard for so long.
Naturally.
Also, I didn't think that the little sombrero designs on me were really necessary. I thought it was a little much, but especially considering how ethnic Senor Chip Dip was. Why did we have to put that there? I mean, I guess it's his prerogative. He is all of those ethnicities, so he gets to choose what he wants to represent. I just didn't feel comfortable because I knew deep down that I was a very, very, very I was a white person waiting, I guess.
Well, whenever you think about it, everyone close their eyes for just a second. Think of a tray in which you have chips and dip. Do you know what I imagine? One of those porcelain
I think no one can
sombreros.
imagine that better than me, Sam, but go on.
That's a good point. So, Ben, why don't you close your eyes and your ears? Don't be offended by this. But whenever I think of a chip dip tray, I think of a porcelain sombrero where the chips are on the rim of the hat, and then in the center, it's kind of pushed down a little to create a divot, and that's just filled with dip. So, of course, there's going to be sombreros put onto the little dish. Ben, you can uncover your ears now.
Can I say something about the sombrero? That is a practical hat. If you ever have to work out in the sun, you want a sombrero. The cone top keeps all the heat rising, so it keeps your head nice and cool, and you got the most shade for your buck of any hat. Also, they're very sturdy. I don't know why the sombrero also looks really, really cool. Next to the cowboy hat, it is the coolest looking hat. I wish fedoras hadn't caught on because I got like when fedoras were catching on, I got really into sombreros, and you know, a lot of people said like, "Hey, that's not okay." I'm like, "You're wearing a fedora that is from Italy. It's not okay either. If this isn't okay, if this is wrong, I don't know what I don't want to know what's right."
Well, and that's after the the 7-layer dip had been invented and presented. Senior Chip Dip went on to be a senator and actually fought for hat regulation, but he was shot down at every turn. He couldn't get across that like sombreros are nothing, guys. But no one listened, and now we have like trucker hats and fedoras and those other hats I don't like.
I thought it was weird. March 23rd they released the third Avengers movie. Just stealth released it. Like no one even knew that it was happening. Like
Oh,
the
shoot.
actors were like, we haven't finished filming that yet. Like they were very confused. But Disney's like, whatever, viral marketing, I guess. But the entire thing was just one big ad for avocados from
Oh,
Mexico.
wow.
Avocados from Mexico. Um, and I enjoyed it because it was my way of celebrating Senor Cheap Dip. But I feel like a lot of people had different expectations going into the third Avengers movie.
Well, it was also very difficult because they didn't even like put it on any streaming platform. They had a guy with his phone stream it on Periscope, and it was just him holding his phone at a TV screen in the Disney vault, and he was just recording it on his phone. Every once in a while, he'd turn around and he'd like give a thumbs up, and he'd like take a big bite of an avocado.
And then
Not even
the
a peeled
jingle would
avocado,
come
just like
come
an
through
avocado.
the avocados from Mexico, and it
Yeah,
worked
yeah.
because there are no avocados anymore. Everyone's eaten every avocado in the world. Like they're all gone.
Yeah, and now you guys know because March 23rd, Chipotle's out of business. They no more avocados. I mean, they're gone. They're out of business. Several Bank of America went out of business. Yeah, yeah. Chip Dip Day is a great day for all of us to celebrate. So why don't you sit down, grab some dip, or some dips, and some chips, and let's talk about Mistborn: The Final Empire, the avocado of literature.
Absolutely. Well, going into these chapters, we just came out of part one of Mistborn, so we're going into part two. Part one, if we're talking about like introducing people, this is like the heist actually getting underway and some more setup. And one of the first things we go through
Yeah.
is, and they talked about it in the end of chapter 9, but Vin is going to train with each of the Allomancers in the crew about their specific skills. And she starts with Breeze. She goes and meets Breeze at a hideout where he's going to be doing some recruiting for the army that they need to make. She speaks with Breeze about about using emotional allomancy, and if it's manipulation of people, if it's wrong, if it's right. Yeah, I for one have always felt like really really weird about emotional allomancy, really morally dubious about it, like if it's okay or not.
I think it's on the same line as. Okay, you know what? Let me take that back. It's not in the same line as Kelsier murdering people, but it's still. It's definitely not. But you think of the implications that could happen. You think of the different things that could happen from an emotional allomancer, whether it be, I hate to say this, this is a nice family-friendly podcast, but it could easily become.
It can become like really
really,
really bad,
really
real fast.
bad. I mean, you could manipulate people to to rape and pillage and murder, or you could manipulate people to do certain crimes that for your benefit. And
And the thing is, like emotional allomancy, it's not foolproof. Like you're adjusting someone's emotions, but like you don't have it's not mind control,
Right.
and it's not really emotion control. Like you get to soothe or dampen some emotions, but you need to know what they're feeling first. You need to be able to read them, and that's what Breeze explains. Like you have to be good at reading people and going over what they want, what they don't want, what they want to accomplish, and that's how you know how to change or manipulate their emotions.
Right.
But I'm with Vin. Like this is just it's kind of weird stuff, and like the thing is that's really what she used to protect herself as well growing up. So there are uses for it that can like change and protect those people that could be victims in other cases.
Yeah, and this is actually one reason why I think Tim Roth would play a really good Breeze, because boom, lie to me. He reads faces. He's just like a second doctor, whatever his face was. But with each,
Dr. House?
nope, the other one.
Dr. Kevorkian?
That's it. That's the one. Sorry, my son just did something adorable, and I got distracted by adorable. I mean, he scratched my face kind of hard. Yeah,
Oh no!
you did. But
Yeah, we have another. We have a. He's still co-hosting, guys. I mean, I know you loved him the first time. Please, like, he can't read all the fan mail. And please stop sending him binkies. He has so many binkies. Like, literally, he could not have more binkies. He will never. He will never use all of them.
his crib is made out of binkies from everyone, sending us binkies. It's a very sturdy bed, and wherever he rolls around, there's a binky, and he's good. But with emotional allomancy, and this goes into every single every allomantic power. Kelsier talks about with Vin and with Sazed about there are different people who have a stronger grasp of one allomantic power than another. You could have two pewter burners, but one might be more efficient or one might be smarter with its usage. And then with someone like Breeze, who is, who can read people and who can so quickly decide how to use it to manipulate others, there are different levels of allomantic usage, of allomantic mastery. And Breeze is one of those that... Bubba, you were just yelling at me. Breeze is one of those that is... he's the top of his game. And he could use it for bad. And I'm not talking about making Vin want to get him some wine, and that makes her upset. But, for other really grotesque and frankly evil purposes. But he's on the good guy side.
And the thing is, I'm wondering, like, he's kind of a morally dubious person.
Yeah.
Can he use it for worse things? Like, would he be able to? If anyone knows the limitations of emotional allomancy, would be Breeze. Like,
Yeah.
he's the expert in it.
Absolutely.
So I wonder if he can't. Like, he can't actually manipulate someone that hard to do something. We may talk about it a little bit more in book 2, because we meet a different emotional allomancer in book 2.
Yes.
that applies a little bit more. So we may talk about a little bit more there how it applies, but essentially, I do have really conflicted feelings, especially about how they're manipulating the Ska to rise up and to become part of the army.
Absolutely.
Now, like, the Ska would never do it on their own. Like, they're completely beaten down, and they need, like, a jump start. And we've seen that even in our country and in many things. They need, like, crazy examples and very, very emotionally stimulating things to generate a change in action in people that are otherwise complacent or worried or scared.
Yeah,
So I think that's what they're going for.
Absolutely.
And that's why they bring Kelsier in for these meetings, and I kind of love that about the meetings. Like, they like the emotional stuff is good, but they're really looking up to Kelsier to help and save them in the end. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the scenes that have, or the scene in which Breeze and Vin are talking, and all this is going down while they're sitting there. It was, I wish, and of course this is for anybody, but I wish I could have just seen the changes on people's faces as he soothed emotions, or as he rioted, or whatever he did, because to imagine how they feel on the inside, and that has to make. And this is kind of a, like a little dumb thing that I like, but you have to imagine that there's some change on their face so that they can be like, cool, we got them, they're dunsies. Oh, careful, Bubba. Sorry, he keeps grabbing my book and pulling at the pages.
I love Mistborn, is what he says.
I want to put it in my mouth.
Yeah, we both agree that this conversation with Breeze is a little dubious, but interesting. Like, he's telling her a lot, and
Yeah.
it was really, really a great idea for Kelsier to decide, or at least take Sazed's advice. I think was the one who suggested it, to have her work with these specialists in each of their fields, because Kelsier walks into a room, and if he wants to emotionally manipulate people, boom, he just like throws a blanket over everyone, just like, hey, yeah, you guys are done. But Breeze even says, like, he does it subtly all the time to everyone. And we later in other books, I think we do get viewpoint chapters with Breeze, and we get a little bit more of of a view into how he's doing what he's doing, and what he really uses his emotional allomancy for on a larger scale. But Ham comes in. He brings a philosophical question. If we kill God, does that make us the bad guys? I would say no, since this guy, even in their theory, he's only a part of God. Ham basically saying,
Right.
like, since he's God, anything he does is right. It's like, well, if he's only a part of God, he's pretty much a demigod. If he has his own will and he doesn't have to like follow any morality or anything, then no, what he does is not necessarily right. So it kind of falls apart for me. But Ham is really interested in, and he kind of preoccupies himself with those things, those little sticking questions.
And he's always, since the beginning, he's always been the one to be like, well, what about the philosophical implication? I'm muscly. He wants to be. He wants to talk about philosophy, and Breeze is always the first one to roll his eyes. But there's some merit to his questions and to his concerns. But I don't think he does it. I think he does it a little bit out of spite to Breeze, because he knows Breeze will just kind of roll his eyes and be like, "We're done. We're not talking about this." But I think there's a part of Ham that really does care about what could possibly come of whatever they're doing.
Yeah, I think Ham, more than anyone, cares about the implications of what they're doing. Cares about the people that it could hurt, the people that it will affect, even if it doesn't hurt them. I think he is the one that is pushing for, like, I'm scared that this could change people's lives in a negative way. Sazed kind of wants to be able to release himself and be free once again, because he's as bad as a Ska. He's looked down on, and he won't be free until the final empire's gone. Kelsier has his own motives. Yedin for sure has his own motives. Breeze couldn't care less, it appears, about other people. So it's really Ham who has that heart. He's like, but I understand, like, I'll do these things because it's good for me and good for my family, but I want to make sure that I want to at least know if it's hurting other people or not, which is really interesting. Yeah. He's the goodest man, I think.
Absolutely. And I wish there was like a separate book just for him.
Yeah, Hammond's a pretty good guy.
It'd be called Hamtown.
Hamtown. It would be called Hamtaro, and he's just a hamster. You remember Hamtaro?
Oh, wow.
That's
I
do. Deep pull. Okay.
That's a deep one. Okay, so we also talked. You wanted to talk about. So Sazed is he's a keeper. He has a vast knowledge of many things, including and not limited to the vast majority of religions that have have existed before, that have been erased by the Final Empire, who have been trying to make people lose those memories of the older religions. But Sazed has slowly but surely been trying to talk to Vin about a different religion that might suit her belief system. But so far to no avail, because she's like, Sazed, you crazy.
You pretty much, and I was reading, if you don't know, Brandon Sanderson actually has annotations on his website for each chapter of Mistborn, of the Mistborn trilogy, and of other books as well. And I was reading over them, just getting a little more information, and I saw that he actually got the idea for Sazed after watching Brandon Fraser's The Mummy.
Stop it. Are you serious?
I am not kidding, and it has nothing to do with the color of Sazed's skin or anything like that. So there's a moment in The Mummy where the mummy is confronting like this really oily dude that's for some reason with Brandon Fraser and all them, and this dude pulls out like a bunch of religious pendants from a bunch of different religions. So he has a cross, he has like the Star of David, he has like a bunch of different religious pendants that he keeps on pulling out and like praying to kind of ward off the mummy, but none of them work. And Brandon looking at that, he's like, what if there was a guy that believed in all religions? Like, what would that be like? And what if he was a missionary for all religions? And he's like a tailor for religions. He's going to try to find the right belief that fits you and make you comfortable. Wow. I know, like...
That's really funny, because watching that scene growing up, I always thought it was really...
it's a silly goof-ha-ha scene, right?
It absolutely. And I was just like, wow, to have all those necklaces, that's a little extreme. Crazy guy who eventually dies. But
Yeah,
to be
it's
able
a
to create
bit.
such
Like, it's a bit. Like, someone probably improv
Oh,
that one day, and they're like, yeah, dude, do that
absolutely.
for real. That'd be so fun.
It was probably Brandon Fraser who was like, you know what we should do? Just get a bunch of religious symbols and have him spout off some prayers. And they're like, that's a good idea. Now rising star Brandon Fraser. You know, I think
He's
that's
he's
really
listening
funny
to this,
though.
and he's like, those were the days. Would someone listen to my ideas?
When I used to be human. And then he turns into a mummy.
Oh no! He's the Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, I actually really like that. For such a silly thing to awake the idea of a character as I would say beloved and as wise and intelligent as Sazed out of this, I think that's absolutely great.
Yeah, it's very, very transformative. Maybe so wise and intelligence in response to that bumbling buffoon boy, but if we get Sazed out of it, it's a fair trade as far as I'm concerned. It's crazier though that he like the entire Keeper mythology kind of was born out of this idea. So it really goes to show like even watching B movies can give you inspiration for better and bigger things. But I thought that was so interesting that that's the mind of a creative person. They see something that they're like, I like that, but what if I make it way better and I make it my own and I do this and I do that, and yeah, they improve upon it and make it their own.
Absolutely. That's really, and I think it's fun when I think this was in chapter 9 actually, which we went over last week or the last episode. That Vin is getting her hair cut, and Sazed's like, "Madam, if you mind, I have another religion." I don't know how he sounds, but and then he just kind of he's a silly man, and he does joke with Vin a little bit, and just like a little moment where he's like, "Hey, got another religion for you. You want to hear about it? Oh, you do? Oh, you don't? That's fine.
It's about Trell. Oh.
Oh.
Ugh. So yeah, I like that. And the last thing I want to touch on about these chapters is the destruction of Cayman, and his crew. So, they go back or they hear about it through the grapevine that there's been a hit, and they go and investigate it. And the Steel Inquisition has taken out everyone from Vin's old crew. They finally caught up with him. And so, yeah, it's just a reminder that you do not go up against the Steel Ministry, and they will find you and they'll take you down. And this is the destruction that they're talking about when they think, and when the people think of the Steel Inquisition, the Steel Inquisitors. This is what they're thinking of. They're thinking of hooks through the throat. They're thinking of destroyed bodies.
Yeah.
So much blood you don't even know what's body and what's not. Like, or how many people even died there.
Grotesque mutilation that would, anybody with a weak constitution would absolutely either pass out or vomit. And we see Ulef, and then they do find Cayman's body. And it's like you said, the Steel Inquisitor, the Steel Ministry is not. It's like Robert De Niro's Casino in Casino. You're caught cheating, you're gonna lose a hand. But worse. You know what? It's nothing like Casino. It's worse. It is so much worse.
No. I like this. So the Lord Ruler is Robert De Niro, and the casino is the Final Empire. And if you're caught stealing, hook through throat, right? So that's how it goes.
Correct. And
okay.
The Steel Inquisitors are all a bunch of Joe Pescis, and they're gonna take you down.
That would really undermine like the menace that they have. Like they just look at you with gigantic steel rails through their eyes, and they're just like dead inside. And then they're just like, "Hey, why don't you not steal from us anymore, man?"
Forget about it.
Forget about it. That's my Joe Pesci.
We're gonna have to place warnings on each of these episodes. It says there are some impressions, but they don't last any longer than 30 seconds, so you're okay.
Warning: light impression is had. Joe Pesci. Warning: Joe Pesci makes an appearance. Asterisk: Joe Pesci impression.
Joe Pesci impression. Oh man.
So yeah, that's what I want to touch on in these chapters.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to go over, Sam?
Yeah, probably. And even reading it now, it makes me a little giddy.
Yeah.
We finally meet Elend.
Oh right, the ball. I'm sorry, I totally forgot that the ball was in the end of this. Sam, stop! You're swooning. You're swooning.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. But it's I was a somewhat would I wouldn't say a hopeless romantic, but I love chick flicks. I love corny romantic bits in movies, and so when I read this the first time, I assume I was blushing. I don't know, but I was just like,
they're meet cute.
These two, something good's gonna come out of this.
Mm-hmm.
It is a cute meet. I mean, meet cute.
Yeah, he's the guy at the ball who doesn't even want to be there. He'd rather read a book than talk to a pretty girl until one day. Hello, I'm Valet Renew. And he's like, go, what?
Smash cut to them running in a field, laughing, reading books, murdering people.
I want to save this. I want to stop this line because I want to do it at the very end. At the very end, I want us to make a trailer for the Elend Valet chick flick. All right?
Absolutely.
But interesting things about this, the limelights I thought were interesting. They don't have, like they discussed before, there's really not a lot of vegetation around, so any wood would probably go into buildings. They probably don't want to burn it. The limelights kind of solve that and give them, I mean, it's an expensive way to do it, but like it's a fancy place.
Yeah.
And this is Keep, is it at Keep Venture that they're having this? I don't remember.
I think so, yeah, because...
If it's Keep Venture, that's the same place where he stole from before, where Kelsier stole from and killed a bunch of people before.
Right, and at one point Ellen says, when you've seen one ball, when you've seen 600 balls, you've seen them all. You get bored of them. But he's like, yeah, you can't really... Keep Venture kind of throws the best ones, but whatever. I just want to read my book.
And yeah, I think that it's great. That you have someone like Elend, who, so Vin, or Valet, she is the type that will go out into the night, will stalk around, will hit things very hard, will kill people and things. And Elend is this kind of posh, like he's the princess and she's the dashing prince, the one that like actually is out doing adventurous stuff. And he's the one that's just like locked up. He's Belle. And she's the beast, I guess. she's like Gaston and the Beast. Like she's like,
there we go.
She's like all of the habits of Gaston without any of the douchebaggery around it.
This is good. This is real good. Yeah, it's a fun little beginning. And even Sazed's like, who are you talking to? And she's like, oh, just some bozo named Elend. And he's like, Elend Venture. And she's like, yeah, it's whatever. Quit making a big deal out of it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
apparently
of course,
it's a teen comedy.
Of course she stepped in it. Like the very first time she goes out, she already like makes the wrong impact, and she's making enemies because she's speaking to Elend Venture, who's the heir of House Venture, which is like the most influential noble house.
It is the most powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's once again good chapters. I doubt we'll have any bad chapters, but
yeah,
it's
good chapters. A good writing in these chapters too. We learn a lot more about Allomancy. You get to see some of the gruesomeness. I think it's crazy too that you see this gruesome side of the Final Empire, and then almost immediately after you're treated with this ball, which is very benign, very very fancy, very posh, and very safe. Ultimately, like Vin is there as Valette, so she needs to be careful, but. Ultimately, like no one, it's a safe place for everyone there. Like they're so far removed from the violence of the Final Empire.
Yeah, and we talked about this in the first episode, and now we're running a little long. But this is heavily influenced. The storytelling is heavily influenced by slavery, and we see these horrible acts, caused by the Steel Ministry, caused by those who rule. And then those who are, high up in their ivory towers, they're just kind of like, whatever, these things happen, and, we're going to either choose to ignore it, or we're going to honestly have no idea what's going on, and just keep partying. We're going to keep spending our money and keep having fancy things. And it is, it's like you said, it's a very stark and even breakneck speed contrast between the mutilations and then a ball. It's kind of like, all right, well, got to change my mindset now. Got to get in a different kind of mood.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's just like that. Like back in the South, back in the old days, they would do terrible things on the plantations, and then they would have a ball just like this, where all the debutantes would come out. That's where debutante balls started. Were from this idea like that they had to have civilized society, that they were the civilization in the darkness.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy. So it makes sense that those would go side by side as well. But it's just to show you kind of what they're fighting for. There is sort of this fancy, privileged facade going on that justifies and that, doesn't condemn, the death and the destruction and even the methods of the final empire that they benefit from.
It's some heavy thematic material that he portrays very well. And of course, I mean, I think I say this every episode, but it's so well written that he doesn't need to spell it out. It's well written enough that it's not spelled out for you. It gives you a chance to really think about it, but it doesn't make you think too hard to where you could probably have a convoluted idea of what's going on.
Yeah, and I think, it's that way so that it's very easy to justify all of Kelsier's methods and actions, because you need that. Kelsier is one of the main protagonists in this book, and he does some pretty extreme, crazy things, but it's all in the name of ending this enslavement of his people, of the people that he's trying to defend and keep, and so it is a noble goal, ultimately.
Well, those were the chapters. They were really good chapters. Ben, how are we going to end the episode this week?
This week we're gonna end it. We're gonna make a trailer for the rom-com of Elend and Vin, and I just want to establish a couple things before that. So Vin, obviously, her like best friend, her sassy best friend, is Sazed.
Of course.
So Elend doesn't really have any best friends. He's kind of like, he has close friends we learn a little bit more about later, and we're definitely going to get into that. But I'm trying to think like what the hook is for him. I guess he's the girl in this situation. She's the boy, and she's the cock of the walk, walking into the ball and getting everything done. So I got a little bit of it there. Anything else you want to establish before we get into it?
No, I think that's real good.
Okay. All right. So she was just a regular girl getting beaten up by Cayman in a back alley. Oh my gosh, this is really dark.
Wait, okay. I'll be Vin. Oh man, what a Tuesday.
I'll be Cayman. And I hate your stupid face too.
He's a pretty boy with way too much money and no friends.
Father, I just want to read a book. I don't want to go to another ball with girls.
You're gonna do what I say because I'm paying for your college, you little jerk.
It's Draft Venture, played by John Wayne. You're gonna do what I say, you little jerk. Until one day she learned about her destiny. You're saying I'm a Mistborn?
You're a Mistborn, Vin.
And she got a best friend. Call me Sazed.
Sazed, I don't want to join any religions. Ugh. Sorry, she's Kathy, apparently.
And he's just folding his very long arms and wagging a finger. And everything changed that night that they met. Are you saying I can't go as myself, Vin? I have to go as somebody else? I don't even know who Valette Renew is.
Well, you're gonna learn who she is. I don't know who that was.
I guess Sazed? I don't know.
Sorry, let me try.
Maybe that was Kelsier again. I don't know.
Yeah, Kelsier. Let me try again. Well, you're gonna learn who she is.
And
somehow worse.
Yeah, I think it was worse. And everything changed when they finally met. Ugh, I can't dance. I can't talk. I don't even know what I'm doing. Who are you?
Wait, was that Elend or was that Vin?
That was Vin. That was
Okay.
Vin saying she
Okay.
she was moping because she didn't feel like she
Okay.
was doing anything at the ball, right?
Okay. Right. No, you're right. You're right. Okay. Okay. So, and then Elend, he'll walk up the stairs slowly to some music. I just go to get some wine so I can come back and read my book alone, and now there's a pretty girl here.
And
Wait.
while he's walking up the stairs, because he's the girl in this situation, like he tosses his
Yeah.
hair and it's like bow get to down count, get to down count, bow get to down count, to get to down count.
And Vin's like, boing.
Yeah, no double standard here. No double standard here. He is being objectified in this moment. And so
Oh, shoot.
so then I think we're gonna have to end it there because my dog's actually literally crying at how great this is. But
I
one
think,
last bit.
what's the movie
Like,
called?
Can
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
can they get past their differences and find love? But I murder people in the night. But I read books at balls. It's okay. And the book is called
The movie's called?
Mistborn. No, yeah, sorry. The movie's called Mist Born to Be Together.
Oh, wow. Written by Nicholas Sparks.
Written by Nicholas Sparks. No, someone has to go into a coma if it's written by Nicholas Sparks.
Sazed will have to, I guess.
That was great. That was great. I really do need to
that
take
was
care of my
really
dog.
good.
I'm very concerned about his whining right now. He's being very
whining,
vocal and
okay.
he doesn't do that. But that was amazing. Thank you guys so much for listening, and please
Yeah,
let us
thank
know
you
if
guys.
there's something else that you guys want us to tackle. We're at Sanderfans on Twitter. You can find me at Ben Parrish, BNNPARRISH on Twitter. And Sam, what's your Twitter handle?
Yeah, you can find me at Samuel_Loose, Loose. That's on Twitter and on Instagram if you want to, but whatever, it's fine.
Cool.
Yeah, let us know if you're liking the show. Let us know if there's anything you want us to change, or if there's things you want us to even to bring to the table.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we'll be back next week with another episode of Brandon Sanderfans with Ben and Sam.
And until then, read a book.
Read a book.